Albert Einstein. Learn English through history, B1 level. Introduction. What does it really mean to be a genius? Is a genius someone who is born special? Or is it someone who never stops asking questions? When people think about intelligence, they often imagine one face. They imagine Albert Einstein. His wild white hair became a symbol of intelligence all over the world. His calm eyes and simple smile made him look friendly and kind. But Albert Einstein was not always famous. He was not always confident. And he was not always considered smart. As a child, many people thought he was slow. Some teachers believed he would never achieve success. They thought he asked too many questions. They thought he did not follow rules well enough. But Albert was different in another way. He did not accept information without understanding it. He wanted to know how things worked. He wanted to understand the hidden laws of nature. He wanted to discover what could not be seen. This is the story of Albert Einstein. It is the story of a quiet boy who loved thinking. It is the story of a young man who believed imagination was powerful. It is the story of a scientist who changed the way we understand space and time. But it is also the story of a human being. A human being who made mistakes. A human being who doubted himself. A human being who learned that knowledge brings responsibility. Through his life, we will learn about curiosity. We will learn about courage. We will learn about creativity. We will learn about peace. And we will see that genius is not only about intelligence. Genius is about never losing the desire to ask why. Part 1: A Quiet and Curious Child. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879. He was born in the small city of Ulm in Germany. His family was not wealthy. But they were educated and thoughtful people. His father, Hermann Einstein, worked as an engineer and businessman. His mother, Pauline Einstein, loved music. She played the piano beautifully. Music filled their home. Albert's mother believed music helped the mind grow. She encouraged Albert to learn the violin. At first, he did not enjoy practicing. He preferred thinking quietly alone. But later in life, music became very important to him. When Albert was very young, his parents noticed something unusual. He did not start speaking as early as other children. He often stayed silent. He thought carefully before saying anything. Some relatives were worried. They wondered if he was developing slowly. But Albert was not slow. He was thinking. When he finally began speaking, he often repeated sentences quietly to himself. He wanted to be sure his words were correct. He did not like speaking without understanding. When Albert was 5 years old, something happened that changed him forever. His father showed him a small magnetic compass. It was a simple object. But to Albert, it was magical. The needle inside the compass always pointed north. It moved even when nothing touched it. Albert could not see the force that moved the needle. But he knew something invisible was there. This idea amazed him. He realized that the world contains hidden forces. Forces that we cannot see. Forces that still control everything. This moment stayed in his memory for his entire life. He later said that the compass gave him his first scientific experience. It made him curious about the invisible world. When Albert started school, he did not enjoy it. The German school system was strict and disciplined. Students had to sit quietly. They had to memorize facts. They had to obey without asking questions. Albert did not like this system. He wanted to understand ideas deeply. He did not want to repeat information without thinking. Some teachers saw him as difficult. One teacher told him that he would never become successful. Another teacher said that Albert's presence disturbed the class. But Albert continued to study on his own. At home, he read books about mathematics. He read books about science. He taught himself algebra when he was still very young. He solved problems just for fun. Numbers made sense to him. Mathematics felt logical and beautiful. It was different from memorizing historical dates. It was different from repeating grammar rules. Mathematics gave him freedom to think. As a teenager, Albert's family moved to Italy. His father's business was not successful in Germany. Albert stayed behind for some time to finish school. But he felt unhappy and lonely. He did not like military discipline. He did not agree with the strict national ideas of the time. Eventually, he left school and joined his family in Italy. This decision was risky. But Albert believed he needed freedom to grow. Soon, he decided to apply to a special school in Switzerland. This school was called the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. It was one of the best technical schools in Europe. Albert wanted to study physics and mathematics there. He was only 16 years old when he took the entrance exam. He failed the first time. His mathematics was excellent. But his general subjects were not strong enough. Instead of giving up, he prepared again. He studied hard for 1 year. Then he took the exam again. This time, he passed. Albert Einstein was finally on the path that would change the world. Part 2: A Young Man with Big Ideas. Albert arrived in Zurich as a young student full of questions. He was different from many of his classmates. He did not always attend lectures. He preferred studying alone. He read scientific books in his own way. He wanted to understand ideas deeply, not just pass exams. Some professors did not like his independent attitude. They believed he should follow the system more closely. But Albert believed that real understanding comes from thinking freely. During his time in Zurich, he met other students who loved science. One of them was Mileva Maric. She was a talented mathematics student from Serbia. She was serious and intelligent. Albert enjoyed discussing scientific problems with her. They spent many hours talking about physics and philosophy. Their conversations were full of energy and curiosity. Albert graduated in 1900. But graduating did not mean success. He wanted to become a university professor. He wanted to teach physics. But he could not find a job. Some professors did not support him. They did not recommend him for positions. Albert felt disappointed. For 2 years, he searched for work. He sent letters to universities. He asked for help from former teachers. But no one offered him a position. Finally, in 1902, he found a job at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. This was not a scientific research center. It was an office where people examined inventions. Albert's job was to study technical designs. He had to decide if inventions were new and useful. At first, this job seemed far from his dreams. But it gave him something very important. It gave him time to think. The work was regular and predictable. After finishing his daily tasks, Albert returned home. In the evenings, he continued to study physics. He read scientific papers. He wrote his own ideas in notebooks. He met with 2 close friends. They called their small discussion group the Olympia Academy. They were not famous professors. They were young men who loved ideas. They talked about philosophy. They discussed science. They questioned everything. Albert often thought about light. He wondered how light really works. At that time, scientists believed that space and time were absolute. They believed that time moves the same way for everyone. They believed that space is fixed and stable. Albert began to doubt these ideas. He asked a simple but powerful question. What would happen if you could travel next to a beam of light? What would you see? This question may sound simple. But it changed physics forever. In 1905, something extraordinary happened. Albert was 26 years old. He was still working at the patent office. He was not a professor. He was not famous. But in that single year, he published 4 scientific papers. These papers would later be called his miracle year. In one paper, he explained the photoelectric effect. He showed that light behaves like particles, not only waves. This idea later earned him the Nobel Prize. In another paper, he explained Brownian motion. He showed clear evidence that atoms truly exist. At that time, some scientists still doubted the existence of atoms. Albert's explanation helped prove they were real. But his most famous paper introduced a new idea called special relativity. This theory changed the meaning of space and time. Albert showed that time is not the same for everyone. Time can move slower or faster depending on speed. Space can change. Distance can change. Nothing is completely fixed. From this theory came a simple equation. E equals mc squared. This equation became one of the most famous formulas in history. It showed that energy and mass are connected. A small amount of mass can produce a huge amount of energy. At the time, few people understood how powerful this idea was. Albert was still unknown to the world. But the scientific community slowly began to notice him. A young man working in a patent office had challenged centuries of physics. And he had done it with pure imagination and mathematics. Part 3, From Unknown Clerk to World-Famous Scientist. After 1905, the scientific world slowly began to notice Albert Einstein. At first, only a few physicists understood his ideas. Special relativity was difficult to accept. It challenged everything scientists believed about space and time. Some experts admired his work. Others were skeptical. But they could not ignore him. In 1909, Albert finally left the patent office. He received a position as a university professor. For the first time, he could focus fully on science. He moved to different cities in Europe. He taught in Zurich. He taught in Prague. He returned again to Zurich. Wherever he went, he continued thinking about gravity. Special relativity explained motion at very high speeds. But it did not explain gravity. Gravity was still described by Isaac Newton's laws. Newton said that gravity is a force between objects. Albert began to imagine something different. He believed gravity was not a force in the usual sense. He believed gravity was connected to space and time. He worked for many years on this problem. It was not easy. He made mistakes. He corrected them. He started again. He studied complex mathematics. He collaborated with other mathematicians. Sometimes he felt close to the answer. Sometimes he felt completely lost. Finally, in 1915, he completed a new theory. This theory was called general relativity. It explained gravity in a completely new way. Einstein said that massive objects bend space and time. The sun bends the space around it. The Earth moves along this curved space. That movement creates what we call gravity. It was a beautiful and powerful idea. But it needed proof. In 1919, a solar eclipse gave scientists the opportunity to test Einstein's theory. During the eclipse, scientists measured the position of stars near the sun. If Einstein was correct, the light from those stars would bend. The results confirmed his prediction. Newspapers around the world announced the news. A new scientific genius had appeared. Albert Einstein became famous overnight. His face appeared in newspapers. People around the world spoke about him. He became a symbol of intelligence. But fame did not change his simple personality. He still wore modest clothes. He did not care much about fashion. He often forgot small daily tasks. He sometimes looked absent-minded. But his mind was active and powerful. In 1921, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics. Interestingly, he did not receive it for relativity. He received it for his explanation of the photoelectric effect. Even so, relativity remained his most famous achievement. As his reputation grew, he traveled widely. He gave lectures in many countries. He visited the United States. He visited Asia. He spoke about science and peace. He enjoyed meeting students and young thinkers. But his life was not only about success. His personal life became complicated. His marriage to Mileva became difficult. They separated and later divorced. Albert married again. He focused more and more on science. Meanwhile, Europe was changing. Political tensions were rising. Nationalism was growing stronger. Albert watched these changes with concern. He believed in international cooperation. He believed science should unite people. But history was moving in a dangerous direction. Soon, his life would change again. Part 4: War, Responsibility, and a New Life in America. During the 1920s and early 1930s, Albert Einstein was one of the most famous scientists in the world. But Europe was becoming unstable. In Germany, a new political movement was rising. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party were gaining power. They promoted extreme nationalism and racism. They rejected many intellectual ideas. They especially attacked Jewish scientists and thinkers. Albert Einstein was Jewish. He openly spoke against nationalism and violence. He supported peace and cooperation between nations. Because of this, he became a target. Nazi supporters called his science Jewish physics. They tried to discredit his work. They spread lies about him. In 1933, Hitler became the leader of Germany. Einstein understood that he could not remain there. At that time, he was traveling in the United States. He made a difficult decision. He chose not to return to Germany. He gave up his German citizenship. He left behind his home and many belongings. It was not an easy choice. Germany had been his homeland. But he knew that staying would be dangerous. Einstein accepted a position at Princeton University in the United States. He began a new chapter of his life in America. In Princeton, he worked at the Institute for Advanced Study. There, he could continue his research without political pressure. He enjoyed walking through the quiet streets. He enjoyed discussing ideas with other scientists. But even in America, he could not ignore the world's problems. In 1939, another major war began. World War II started in Europe. Nazi Germany was expanding quickly. Scientists discovered that nuclear reactions could produce enormous energy. Einstein knew what his equation meant. E equals mc squared showed that small amounts of matter could create huge amounts of energy. Other scientists worried that Germany might build a powerful new weapon. They feared that Nazi leaders could create an atomic bomb. A group of physicists asked Einstein for help. They wanted to warn the American government. Einstein signed a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The letter explained the possibility of nuclear weapons. It encouraged the United States to begin research. This letter helped start what later became the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project created the first atomic bomb. In 1945, the United States used atomic bombs against Japan. The destruction was enormous. Many people died. Einstein felt deep sadness. Although he did not work directly on the bomb, he felt responsible in some way. He later said that if he had known Germany would not succeed in building the bomb, he would not have signed the letter. After the war, Einstein became a strong voice for peace. He spoke against nuclear weapons. He supported international control of atomic energy. He warned the world about the danger of war. Einstein believed science should improve human life. He believed knowledge must be guided by morality. He often said that intelligence without ethics can be dangerous. He became not only a scientist but also a public thinker. He spoke about human rights. He spoke against racism. He supported civil rights movements in America. Einstein used his fame to defend justice and equality. He understood that scientific success does not protect the world from violence. Human choices matter. Leaders matter. Moral courage matters. As he grew older, Einstein continued to work on physics. He searched for a unified theory. He wanted to combine all physical forces into one simple explanation. But this goal remained unfinished. Some scientists believed he was working on an impossible dream. Yet Einstein never stopped trying. He believed that the universe is logical and beautiful. He believed that human understanding can grow. But he also knew that complete knowledge may always remain out of reach. Part 5: The Later Years and a Simple Life. As Albert Einstein grew older, he became more thoughtful and calm. He no longer needed to prove himself. The world already knew his name. But he did not see himself as a hero. He saw himself as a curious person. He once said that he had no special talents. He said he was only passionately curious. In Princeton, Einstein lived a simple life. He wore comfortable clothes. He often did not wear socks. He did not care about appearance. He cared about ideas. Every day, he walked slowly to his office. He carried papers under his arm. He greeted neighbors kindly. Students were sometimes surprised by his modest behavior. They expected a serious and distant genius. Instead, they met a friendly and patient man. Einstein loved explaining complex ideas in simple words. He believed true understanding means you can explain something clearly. If an idea is too complicated to explain simply, he believed it is not fully understood. In his later years, he focused on trying to unite physics. He searched for a unified field theory. He wanted to connect gravity with other forces of nature. Many young scientists were now working on quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics was a new branch of physics. It described the behavior of tiny particles. Einstein did not fully agree with some of its ideas. He did not like the idea of randomness in nature. He famously said, "God does not play dice." By this, he meant that he believed the universe follows clear rules. He believed nature is logical, even if humans do not yet understand it. Many scientists disagreed with him. They believed uncertainty was a natural part of reality. Einstein continued debating these ideas with other physicists. But he remained respectful. He knew that science grows through discussion. Outside of science, Einstein enjoyed music. He played the violin almost every day. Music relaxed him. Music inspired him. He believed music and mathematics were connected. Both required harmony and structure. Both required creativity. Einstein also received many honors. Universities gave him awards. Governments invited him to important events. In 1952, the State of Israel offered him the position of president. It was a great honor. But Einstein refused. He said he was not suitable for political leadership. He believed he understood physics better than politics. He preferred thinking over governing. As he aged, his health became weaker. But his mind remained active. He continued writing letters. He continued speaking about peace. He warned humanity about nuclear weapons. He believed cooperation between nations was necessary for survival. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein died in Princeton. He was 76 years old. He died peacefully in a hospital. Before his death, he continued working on scientific equations. Even in his final days, he was thinking about the universe. His brain was later studied by scientists. They hoped to understand the source of his intelligence. But intelligence cannot be reduced to biology alone. Einstein's greatness was not only in his brain. It was in his curiosity. It was in his imagination. It was in his courage to think differently. He left behind more than scientific formulas. He left behind a way of thinking. A way of questioning. A way of seeing the universe with wonder. Part 6: A Legacy That Changed the World. After Albert Einstein's death, his influence did not disappear. In fact, it continued to grow. His theories became the foundation of modern physics. Today, satellites use relativity to calculate time correctly. Without Einstein's ideas, GPS systems would not work accurately. His theory of relativity is used in space research. It helps scientists understand black holes. It helps them study the expansion of the universe. It helps them explore distant galaxies. His equation, E equals mc squared, became one of the most famous formulas in history. It represents the connection between matter and energy. It changed science forever. But Einstein's legacy is not only scientific. He became a symbol of creativity. He became a symbol of independent thinking. His face appeared in books, posters, and documentaries. Students around the world learned about his life. Teachers used his story to inspire young minds. He showed that school success does not always predict future greatness. He showed that curiosity is more powerful than memorization. He showed that imagination is a scientific tool. Einstein also left a moral legacy. He spoke strongly against racism. He supported equal rights. He believed that all humans deserve dignity. He warned about the dangers of nationalism. He warned about blind obedience. He believed that peace requires courage. He believed that intelligence without morality is dangerous. Many people see Einstein as the perfect example of a scientist who cared about humanity. He did not hide in a laboratory. He did not ignore social problems. He used his voice. He used his influence. He tried to guide the world toward cooperation. Of course, he was not perfect. He made mistakes in his personal life. He sometimes struggled with relationships. He sometimes doubted himself. But these human weaknesses make his story more real. Einstein reminds us that greatness does not mean perfection. It means growth. It means courage to admit mistakes. It means never losing curiosity. Even today, scientists continue studying questions that Einstein asked. Some of his ideas remain unanswered. Some of his dreams are still unfinished. But that is the beauty of science. One generation begins the journey. The next generation continues it. Einstein opened doors. Others walk through them. He once said that the most beautiful experience is the mysterious. He believed that wonder is the source of art and science. He believed that losing curiosity is losing something essential. And perhaps this is why his name still lives. Because curiosity never dies. Conclusion. Albert Einstein was not just a scientist. He was a thinker. He was a dreamer. He was a questioner. He changed the way we see space. He changed the way we understand time. He changed the way we look at light and energy. But he also changed the way we think about learning. He proved that asking questions is powerful. He proved that imagination matters. He proved that being different can be a strength. From a quiet child who spoke late, he became a world-famous physicist. From a patent office clerk, he became a Nobel Prize winner. From a scientist, he became a global voice for peace. His life teaches us that curiosity is stronger than fear. His life teaches us that knowledge brings responsibility. His life teaches us that greatness begins with a simple question. Why? 7 Life Lessons from Albert Einstein. Never stop asking questions. Curiosity is the beginning of discovery. Imagination is powerful. Einstein believed imagination is more important than knowledge. Think independently. Do not accept ideas without understanding them. Learn from failure. Einstein failed his first entrance exam. Failure did not stop him. Use knowledge responsibly. Science can help humanity. But it can also harm if used carelessly. Stay humble. Even when he was famous, Einstein lived simply. Protect peace. Intelligence must be guided by ethics. Thank you for learning English through history. Albert Einstein's life shows us that thinking deeply can change the world. Each new word you learn is a small discovery. Each new idea is a step forward. Keep asking questions. Keep imagining. Keep learning. And I will see you in the next story.